Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. I've got something I kind of want to talk about, and it's going to go into a little bit of an update on the whole, X having a mental breakdown thing. But I kind of want to just say this for the record, guys. We need to start trying to actually beat the allegations. And I know I really shouldn't say we, considering that, for the most part, I do not simp. I shouldn't say for the most part. I never simp. I have not ever put chicks on a pedestal and whatnot. They're just, the female sex. That's pretty much all it really is. But when it comes down to it, guys really need to beat the allegations. For some reasons, we partially know the reasons. No dads in the home and no male influence and stuff like that. And so they're just taught to, worship the ground that Coochie walks on. Although conservatives, they try and talk about this alpha energy, they're not any better because they try and make it seem like it's your destiny, to freaking provide and protect and blah, 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 be a lapdog, etc. And I'm very disturbed that not only are guys just openly being as vile and degenerate as they possibly can, they're making it seem like that's something to aspire to. That somehow liking the female form, wanting sex, means that you have to just be... You have to be the most pathetic, sorry sack of garbage that you could ever see. Like, these doormats for chicks and just say, well, so long as it gets me pussy. No, bro. You don't have to do that at all. You don't have to freaking be a doormat for somebody just so that they give you some attention. You have to learn to essentially transcend the need for external validation. Because I have to admit that it does seem like for a lot of people, loud ass trucks again, for a lot of people, validation almost seems necessary. And I would think that it is necessary up to a certain point, at least for children. But when it comes down to an adult, it seems like the validation, while, yeah, it's necessary, you have to understand that there's tons of people that are going to exploit you from doing that. Just look at therapy, for example. Therapy is literally just someone emotionally manipulating you into opening up with them. They don't really give a rat's arse about you, because if they did, do you really think that they'd be asking tons of money? Why are they getting paid more than, freaking emergency paramedics? Think about it for a minute, So understand that the need and desire for validation will put you in sights for a lot of people that are trying to exploit you. And I'll give you a prime example. Were I not the man that I am now, if I was some kind of simp or something, I would fall for this. Essentially, my ex has been released. But while she was there, I did send her a message. I just kind of wanted to check up on her. She blew up my freaking phone for the past 2 days. Now she's talking, and I told you guys in the last video, she's talking about trying to get together and stuff like that. Hell, literally when I clocked in, because I just got off work as usual. Oh my gosh, it's always something with these cunts. When I clocked in, right, she asks me, right, after she gets dismissed and stuff, to just randomly buy her food. I hung up on her immediately. Now, if I was, again, a lot of other guys in this space that are desperate. Oh, my God, dude. Just look at them. I know you can't look at them, but still. There's literally nobody on the road. It's an empty road. This cunt is literally just making all the noise in the world for no reason. But, if I was, a lot of other guys, I would just be jumping at the chance. Oh my God, there's a chance for puss. There's a chance for love. Oh, she wants me to send her food. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of y'all suckers think that maintaining a gal is easy. It's not easy. They're just gonna randomly start freaking draining your money. Just randomly start draining your money. Even if you can get some free snatch, a couple of times, over a long period of time, they want to be maintained. It just is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And the truth of the matter is, even though, some people may want to, blame them and whatnot, guys aren't really any better, Both of the sexes have this, push and pull that they're doing between how much can I get out of you versus how much can you get out of me? You know, some people ideally want to believe that there's some kind of like equal exchange or something like that, but it's never been that way. It's never have. Never has, you know. In truly like air quotes equal relationships, like it's almost like you only find that like in the animal kingdom. Like if you look at, say, raptors, for example, right? And I mean raptors is in birds of prey, like eagles, hawks, and stuff like that. Those kinds of birds that mate for life. You know, the female will, you know, lay the egg, but the male and female will both take turns and stuff like that, you know, nesting the egg, incubating the egg, and stuff like that, hunkering down, providing for each other. If the male's incubating the egg, the female's eating and whatnot, and she'll bring back food for him and stuff like that, you know. But when it comes down to, like, humans, for the most part, there is no equivalent exchange, because, for the most part, it seems like the male species has coddled the female species for humans so much that there isn't really much need for them to change to their environment, you know. There really isn't. Like, you see it in certain groups of chicks and stuff like that that have more like kind of hardy upbringings, and they've been there for generations, so they're a bit more stocky, but it's still nothing comparison to, like, you know, the average guy. So to tell you the truth, like, the chicks are like in this like push and pull, and the men are in this push and pull where the chicks want a whole bunch of resources, men want to see how much sex they can get. Chads exist, proving that if guys could do it, they would. Let's just be honest. A lot of guys in this space admit that, hey, listen, if they were Chads, they'd be banging tons of chicks too. So, you know, you can't really talk about how you feel like it's effed up when, again, by your own admission, you'd probably be doing the same thing if you could. It's just that most guys can't, and so they don't do, you know. And there's a lot of trucks, because last time I think the road was closed because they're doing work. So I hope to God that they're not doing work again, so it's going to affect how long it takes for me to get home, but I digress. I wanted to bring that up because, again, she's trying to weasel her way back into my life. And, of course, it helps that, you know, I'm employed and I'm doing pretty all right, you know. I'm not rich or wealthy by any means, but because I save, I'm fine. And if she starts blowing me up, I'm just going to let this chick know right then and there, because, look, bro, I'm not interested in no relationship. I'm not about to be providing for a chick. I'm trying to make my money go up, not down. And if I did want to invite a chick, I'm just going to go ahead and say this right then and quick. And I'm going to kind of like transition into something else that I kind of wanted to talk about this. If I did want a chick, guess what? She's not going to be a sister. No, I don't want combative freaking cunts, you know, that can't even be bothered to wear their own goddamn hair and stuff like that, and they're always talking back and starting stuff. I don't want that, you know. I don't want that. And I wanted to mention this, because I know this might seem like it's, you know, out of place, but I need to, like, mention this, for example. Because you're seeing something that's pretty amusing. Everyone now is openly aware of how absolutely ridiculous ratchets are. But the worst of the ratchets between the men and the women who are ratchets is objectively the females. There is just no, it is not even close. If you see some ratchet ghetto arse cunt walk in there with some freaking hair hat or something on, and they start arguing, you know it's going to be a tough day. It doesn't matter if you're a hotel receptionist, if you're a freaking, you know, like cashier, whatever you are. If you see one of them and they act like they know something, you know, it's going to be a hard day. Let's just be honest. It's not going to be any easier if it's like a male, but you know that the chicks are going to be worse. Let's just be honest. You know the chicks are going to be worse. And I'm just being real. A lot of guys with melanin in their skin that came from the community, like me, right? Once we, again, gather our means, the first thing we do is dip. We don't want to be around that. You guys listened over and over again. These freaking trucks, bro. I might move a little bit. Let me try and move a little bit so I can get somewhere a little bit quieter. I'm not right next to the freaking intersection, but my God, right? One of the first things, right? One of the first things that we do is we get away from all of the nonsense. We get away from all of the negativity, or as you know, we tend to call it the negativity, right? We get away from all of that. We get away from the ghettos. We get away from all of it, and we find peace somewhere. And if we choose to, like, you know, try and, like, you know, have kids and stuff like that, it's usually through somebody who doesn't look like us. And the reason for that is because, let's just be honest, nobody really wants to freaking put up with the people that were giving them a whole bunch of crap 24/7. And then you come along and you make something of yourself, and then you look back at them, right? And what do they have? What do they really have to show for themselves? You know, like a whole bunch of kids, they look terrible, they don't take care of themselves, and they're acting like they're some kind of freaking trophy to dangle on your arm. They'll sit around here and talk about how accomplished they are, but they can't even speak words that have like 5 syllables. You know? Tell them to say the word ask. And what do they say? Axe. Right? You know, say the word orange, and they be saying orange. Like, it's... I told you this before. They freaking bred out intelligence in that freaking community. You know? And I'm just going to go ahead and be open with this, guys. I don't even really find cis-tuz attractive. You know? Like, I think that they are some of the freaking... And I can't say this because, you know, last time I said this, you know, good old community guidelines activated. So let us just say that they are some of the most visually unstimulating, if you catch my drift, you know, people to look at. Cis-tuz in particular. Nothing natural about them. You know, they got the freaking hair on top of their head glued on like it's big arse eyelashes or something. You know, that they have like these long arse nails and stuff where they can't wipe their own arses. It's nothing about that seems like that's something I'd want on my arms, you know? Nothing about that. Not that I really care about relationships in general, but I'm just saying, if I was going to do a 180 on my stance on that, it's not going to be for some cis-tuz. It ain't happening. You know, the only freaking, I'll be honest, the only like cis-tuz that I like literally doesn't even exist. She's fictional. It's Ororo Monroe. Or as, you know, everyone else will want to call her, Storm from the X-Men. Love that freaking character. Character is awesome. That's about it. Other than that, non-existent. Non-existent. Really isn't, bro. And I'm just letting y'all know this because y'all got to understand something. This glorification that the world has, this glorification that, especially in this space, you know, has of this worship of validation from the other sex and stuff like that. You need to understand that whilst I get where you're coming from, and I understand that you want to be loved and stuff like that, you need to understand that people will use that as a weapon against you. People will use that and see you as prey to manipulate and exploit. Oh, well, don't worry. I'll tell you everything that you want to hear. Long as they're, you know, taking stuff out your wallet. If I were to let my ex back in, you know, she was already starting to mention stuff like while I was talking to her in the hospital, you know, doing a little checkup, like, oh, you're so perfect. No one ever treated me like you did. And so all the standard crap, all that was going was in one ear, out the other for me, because I knew what she was doing. You have to be aware of the manipulation tactics that they'll use. They are very good at manipulation. They know that you want them. They know you want to spend time with them, you want to bang them, you want love from them, and they leverage that to their advantage. You have to be aware of that. And if I allowed myself to just be swayed by her words, I'd already be spending money on her to buy her some food and stuff like that, maybe take her shopping and stuff. Don't fall for that crap, guys. You got to understand that whilst, again, I get it, I understand you want love. Love ain't free for guys. It's not free. What you define love as, you know, a family and a wife, the kids and all that crap, that is not free. A guy cannot date broke unless like he's just one of these gals that, again, you know, the bad guy and stuff like that. But over long term, they're not going to stick with him. Let's just be real. That's why they always say, oh, my baby daddy wasn't shit, but yet you chose to have his kid, you know, so let's be real. Over long term, they're not going to stick out with him, you know. They'll probably say that this guy's great for a lay, but he doesn't pay. You get it? So, for guys, we have to come to the table, as they say, right, with resources, with tons of crap. The XXs come to the table just broke. They could just be broke, just be a woman and good personality, and guess what? More than enough guys are more than happy to take care of her the rest of her life. That sound equal to you? That sound equal to me. And that's kind of what I mentioned before. Like I'm a hyper analyst, and I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, hey, listen, why are guys going crazy for this? This deal is not even. You know, they talk about, oh, well, you need to earn even more money and stuff like that. And then when you're not spending time with them, then, oh, well, you're not paying me attention. Well, then maybe you should get a job. And if we're both working, then maybe we don't have to work as hard. And if we're not, freaking just spending our money, lavishly, then we could spend more time with each other. Does that sound reasonable to you? That sounds very reasonable to me, but to them, no. Work, no. You're supposed to be their provider. And they will manipulate you on that stuff. They'll play on your ego. Because unfortunately, a lot of guys do have an ego. You might think that you don't. You might say, well, I don't start stuff with other people. Yeah, but it's a personal ego. You try and prove to yourself that you're a man, that you're good enough and stuff. Let it go. Whatever. I don't care what the world thinks of me. I don't care that they think that, you're an incel, you're some loser. Oh, you don't have testosterone, like, your nuts haven't dropped, your voice isn't deep enough, blah, blah. I don't really give a rat's arse. These people would watch me bleed out, convulsing and dying, and not give a rat's arse. Why care for their opinion? Think for a minute, guys, seriously. All of these people, when push comes to shove, if you were screaming for help, like I've always said, they will not give a shit. But you are so obsessed with trying to appease this image for these people that won't help you at all. Let it go. Let it go. You don't need to prove them anything. You're enough. You need to acknowledge that for yourself, not for them. You're enough. You're enough. And if you're not now, you can be later. If there is something that you want to change, you can change it. But that's up to you. You're not on their clock. You're on your clock. Screw these people. It's your life. You got to take charge of it, guys. Don't allow yourself to fall prey to the validation game, okay? Don't let yourself fall prey to it. There's a lot of people that will use that to their advantage. You get me? They'll use that to their advantage, and before you know it, they'll be bleeding you dry for every resources you got. And the moment that you're dry, they'll move on. Like they ain't do nothing wrong. So, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Guys, you gotta evolve past this need for validation. You have to. I get that it's going to be a struggle. I'm not going to pretend like it's going to be easy. One of the good things that I could say about my upbringing, because there was a lot of downsides, but the abuse and stuff like that made me just realize that, listen, even though people see these bruises on me, even though people may say that, hey, that's not right, what are they really doing? What are they really doing? They aren't doing anything. So I learned that, hey, listen, it doesn't really matter if they tell me, stuff that I want to hear, that, hey, this is wrong and stuff like that. Nothing's really changing about the situation. This validation is essentially worthless. Sure, you're letting me know that, yeah, what's happening to you is bad and what's happening to your family is bad, but it's not like we can do anything. So, in the grand scheme, a lot of times, even if somebody's kind of agreeing with you and stuff like that, if nothing is being done, be it something that is just beyond their capability or otherwise, is their validation even that valid? It's something to wonder about. And for me, I came to the conclusion that, well, it's not, because I'm still going through it. I still have to face this problem continuously, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I evolved past the need through trauma for external validation. Again, I'm not going to say that it's the easiest thing to do. Okay? But I'm letting you know that it'll really make you aware of a lot of the bullcrap from people. It really will. So, I would recommend it, guys. I get that not all guys can be saved. Some of these guys want to be freaking slaves to the pussy. Just look at the cuckery. Look at the cuckery. The guys over here, you know, saying, oh, honey, I'm glad you're going to have a 600 gangbang. Just make us proud. That is, the cuckery is insane these days. It's openly insane. The fact that you got porn stars married, you know, I don't know if it's like Riley Reid or, what is it, Lana Rhoades or something like that. Like one of them or both of them, like married with kids. That is, it's vile. Bonnie Blue, holy cow, like, it's vile. But that is all because they can't see their lives without the gal, you know. And if not that gal, you know, then someone else, you know. Because out of all the people, why would you marry a porn star? You know, let's just be real. And then have kids with them. Imagine the kind of life that those kids are going to lead. If they either don't excommunicate themselves, they might excommunicate their parents and then everybody else before they get excommed themselves. You know? Validation is a heck of a drug. I don't deny that. You know, but like all drugs, it will lead you down the rabbit hole where you're trying to fuel that addiction. You have to learn to where it's like, it may be nice to have, you know, at most, just treat it like, again, a treat, if you will. This feels good, you know, being with this person and feeling validated feels good, but I can do with it or without it. You know? Never let people put you in a position where you're their prey. No matter how tempting it may be, it's still a trap. You know? That deer, something might be telling it, hey, listen, this like delicious little feed right here it looks so appetizing. And while it goes over there to eat, some guy is sitting right up in a tree, got him in the sights. It's meant to be alluring, you know? But it's still a trap. So please, be on your guards, because there's a lot of traps in this world. But that's going to conclude it, gentlemen. I hope that you guys enjoyed. As per usual, you know. Like I said, I'm not getting back with that chick. I'm not going to be her pack mule. I'm not going to be anybody's pack mule. I'm trying to make my money go up, not down. And I'm telling you guys, relationships are not free for us. They are very expensive. So, tempted as you are to say that you want, like, love and stuff like that, listen. If you are needing right now, like, you can just pretty much forget about ever being with somebody, you know, long term. Because even if you can get some from them, they're going to want to be maintained. Let's just be honest. So, is what it is. I want to thank you guys for watching as per usual. God bless. I'll see you guys next time.